fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Hello everybody and good evening. Welcome to the next season finale of the Ozicar Triple Header Championship Week. It's the Formula Skip Barber Series, round 6, final round. Final 2 races, and just to make it a little bit more difficult, we're taking him to Mount Panorama. So, let's have a look at where Mount Panorama is located. I'm sure we've pretty much all got it figured out, but for those of you that want a reminder, there it is, pretty close to Sydney, Wakefield Park down there as well. Adelaide off to the left in the middle of nowhere. And we zoom in, and Bathurst is actually a little bit of a hard track to see just from Google Earth because it's such a narrow racetrack, David.
Yeah, certainly well nestled amongst its countryside and just outside of the town of Bathurst. More information there. It's been around a while. It's had a couple little changes, but a lot of it very, very true to the winding country roads of the area. Always an Australian favourite.
An Aussie favourite, a driver's favourite, a spectator's favourite. We love this racetrack. We love coming here. It never fails to disappoint. And today we're crowning the first ever Ozicar Skip Barber champion. Let's see then if we've got those championship points, and we don't. Damn it. We'll get an update on those championship points in a moment because I imagine we've probably got a reasonably close fight up at the front of that table, David.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some cracking racing. We know the point structure really favors drivers who are, consistently in the top 5. And last round, I think Matt Marsh might have been one of our drivers in the box seat for this championship. We've also seen some great race wins from Aidan Coote. Both of them are here today for tonight's races. And quite a strong field down the rest of the field as well. So it's going to be good. It's going to be difficult. And I don't think anyone can just yet take anything for granted.
Hey, let's look at the starting group. We're getting straight to the action. Almost caught me off guard there, even though we've been doing this all season long. Tim Gorkrodger's back, and he's on the pole. Russell Clark will start next to him. Christopher Williams and Aidan Coote on row 2. Then Matt Marsh, Matty Jones, Aaron Dillon, Paul Beatty, Lockie Dalton, and Sean Doyle. Your top 10. In fact, this is our largest grid ever for the Skip Barbers. Matthew Mites, Robert Cook start 11th and 12th. Throughout the rest of them, David.
Down, we were at Angus Cook, were we?
Something like that.
Dennis Hancock, Nathan Verney, Oliver Marquardt, who have all been with us all season long. Julian Mookie, Daniel Interissi, Justin Howe, who had some excitement at Silverstone. Got Kyle Simpson, Peter Wilkinson, Ryan Huckel, Braden Martin, Philip Howe, Vic Beltson. We've got Leon Williams, Dwayne Priest, Jake Gasperi going to start out of 28th for our first race tonight, and just behind him is Isaac Summers and Braden McKay. I think without a qualifying time, looks like it might be Nathaniel Webber and Matt Hodson. So I'm seeing about 34 drivers.
Yeah, very good field to round off this season. We've gone the reverse. Normally fields are big, then they dip. We've gone the other way. It's fantastic. And here they are, lined up. Some of them are right up towards that last corner. Let's get this one going. Race 1 of 2 tonight. And it is green. A poor start from the man in 3rd place. That was Christopher Williams. He goes backwards. And a lot of the drivers stream by him as your top 5 will be able to go single file through Hell Corner.
The 15-minute race, an absolute sprint. No pit stop required. So they are not going to have many laps around this big circuit in which to make their moves. We know the key overtaking opportunities are at the chase, maybe up here at turn 2, Griffin's Bend as well. This race will be over before they realise. So you need to make some moves quickly, but make sure you keep your car safe and pointing the right way and critically out of the walls at the top of the mountain.
The slipstream is going to be massive down Conrod Straight, so if you can do a good enough job of keeping yourself close enough to the car behind that you're able to capitalize on that once you come off the top of the mountain, Well, look out for some big moves down Conrod into the chase. And these cars are narrow enough and maybe low-powered enough that some people may feel brave enough to make a move across the top. But Russell Clark right now is glued to the rear wing of Tim Gorkrodger. And I reckon on lap number 1, you're probably erring on the side of caution here, David.
Your Nathan Verney, though, has just gone heavy and hard into the wall, and I'm not sure he got any help with that. But at the front here, as they come over Skyline, it is very, very close for the lead, which is delightful to see across the top of the mountain on cold tyres. Tim Gorkrodger is not getting away with it at all. In fact, Aiden Coote in that yellow machine, previous race winner, as we mentioned, he's right with the party as well. So first lap, you want to put some time in your pocket over the top of the hill, but Tim Gorkrodger has not managed to do it as they come onto the straight now.
Modem simulation replay didn't work, so we stay live. It's your top 3. You can see them all trying to stay in the draft of Tim Gorkrodger behind. Matt Marsh is giving plenty of tow to Matty Jones and Aaron Dillon. And oh, wow, they're 3 wide over the crest. They emerge very much not how I expected. And now down into the chase, sideways from the leading car. That rear end hanging out. Oh, and the engine's popped.
Got to be so careful with your downshifts in these cars, and clearly that one has not stuck. That's a big issue. You've also got Oliver Marquardt off the circuit as well. So first time down in the chase, a couple drivers popping motors, having some issues. I've just heard that one go
Whoa.
for Marquardt.
Oh my goodness me.
Dwayne Priest.
What? How on earth has he ended up there? Russell Clark's had an accident as well from second place. Dwayne Priest, the mother of all accidents down at the chase.
Yeah, rear wing off, both rear wheels off. Looks like he's trying to drive a snowmobile now, and that is no good for him on lap 1. So quite a few drivers getting involved in lap 1 incidents. One of those drivers who hasn't, Aiden Coote, is at the lead somehow.
So, well, I remember I mentioned Clark had an incident from second. Now, we must assume surely that came with Gorkrodger as a result of him being down the order 2 now. So, most likely contact there. I think our replay button's still working because Jay keeps hitting it too hard. So, I'm not going to get you pictures, but we can show you that right now, his car is crabbing and towing back to pits. And there's the remnants of Priest's machine.
For a man who's won before in this series this season, and it started from the front row of the grid, started from the pole position. That is, I think, the race just about done for Tim Gorkrodger in this format with just 11 minutes to go and no pit stop required. So that is heartbreak for him. Aiden Coote, big winner from that, has several seconds in hand at the lead of the race, and all the battles continue to kick off behind him, and he doesn't need to worry about them.
Well, the good news for all these guys with lap 1 issues is they can come back, try again in race number 2 in a few minutes' time, which will be very nice for them, and the qualify will help them to reset as well. As you watch them down through Forest Elbow, and now they open up the throttle and wind it onto Conrod Straight. Kyle Simpson is having an incident heading into Forest Elbow, and everyone has to drive around the outside of him. There he is. And someone else has gone to the outside of the fence.
Braden Martin's now also facing the wrong way. 2 cars in the elbow, facing in the wrong direction. I'm seeing a lot of smoke there. I think someone has lost their engine as well. So this is a punishing circuit, and I think this reputation continues to build in this race today.
The mountain bites hard, and we are losing drivers. They are dropping like flies in the early running. We're only just hitting 5 minutes in now, as Matty Jones will cross the line in second place. Matty Marsh, Christopher Williams right behind him. These 3 are battling 4 seconds away from Aiden Coote, who really broke away and continued to extend on that lap as he went purple. Fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, only the second lap in the books, because we are seeing about 2 minute 30 lap times, which means we are not going to squeeze in a whole lot of laps. This is on board for second place. Matt Marsh looks to the inside, heading towards Griffin's Bend, which is precisely where you want to be, defending that inside. You have a lot more grip. He just opens up the entry to the corner a little bit, and he goes through. So too does No, so too does Christopher Williams. So Matty Jones goes back 2 positions just because of how powerful that slipstream has been coming up the hill. It's even stronger going down the hill. This is a lot like what we saw at Phillip Island, where the third car in the train can really get to the front.
Look at the attitude of Marsh's car. And by the way, if Marsh finishes in this spot and takes the grid of the next race, he'll win the championship. So he is pretty comfortable up there at the moment.
Yeah, all to race for then, but obviously cannot afford to throw away a good result in this race like some other drivers have done. He is using all of the track though, opening up the entry across Skyline, just staying off the curb, coming down and towards the dipper. But overall, it's looking pretty precise and controlled from Matt Marsh. He's going to have 2 very angry, buzzing cars behind him, though, coming out of the elbow here and down the hill.
They do sound like a very, very loud fly as well, don't they? As they roar down the straight with all their few horsepower. And we'll see if Matty Jones can get up to Christopher Williams. Doesn't look like it, but I'll tell you what, Williams is getting to Marsh right at the end of the straight. Supreme pace for the third car in line. So that effect really comes in late, but it's very powerful when it does. So keep that in mind for later on tonight throughout the rest of this race and race 2.
I think I saw Williams and Jones just rolling out of the throttle a little bit to avoid passing Matt Marsh in second here. So maybe they've decided just wait our time, maybe try and pass him on the last lap or so. They've got to be careful doing that because we were looking at Sean Doyle and Lockie Dalton in their black and red cars. They are just behind and they are not fading whatsoever, though Matt Marsh just set the fastest lap of the race, so that might be the strategy from these guys behind. Hope that Marsh can catch the leader.
Yeah, Doyle was 8 tenths slower than Marsh on the last lap. Lockie Dalton only 3 tenths quicker than him. But now Williams is going to pull to the inside as there's an incident for Dennis Hancock.
And Phillip Howe, those two tangled together there, the exit of the chase.
Now this is good. If they pass each other on a straight line, all they do is gain time because of the slingshot. But if they start going side by side on the corners, that's when they're going to slow each other up. So right now, that's all good, and that was a good move from Williams.
Yeah, clean, executed well, and Matt Marsh obviously knows what he's racing for and how much risk he's willing to take. So he obviously saw that move was happening. He slotted back in line. Christopher Williams goes to the point. He's trying to close down Aiden Coote, but they are still 4 seconds off the leader in this pack.
Amazing that gap hasn't come down despite the fastest lap of the race, last lap from Matt Marsh.
Well, it's all pretty even stuff. You talk about being 0.3 of a second, maybe faster, around a big lap like this, where we're talking 2 minutes 33. Percentage-wise, you're hardly making a dent when the laps are so few for a race like this. We've had 3 completed, and I think it's going to be 2 more to go when they cross the line next. I think this is going to be a 6 or 7 lap race, which really doesn't feel like many, even though it is 15 minutes for these cars around this big circuit.
Yeah, 2 minutes 30 is such a slow lap, isn't it? Especially compared to what you normally see in like V8 or GT machinery. But it's not that slow because these are the same lap times that Jay does in the GT cars. Here we go. Making the move, and again, it's in a straight line, so no harm to their overall lap time.
Yep, easily done. Marsh and Williams swapping for the second time on the lap, and Matty Jones behind. Hasn't looked like he's really going to threaten these guys just yet. So we'll see exactly how it plays out. But at the minute, yeah, I mean, he's pretty safe, pretty happy where he is at the minute. So I just feel like these guys are not going to be able to catch Aiden Coote the way they're going. In fact, it's extended just a couple tenths on this lap. As you can see, Coote has space and time to himself across the top of the mountain, and he's just doing a really great job in that phase of the circuit where he is faster than the pack.
The only reason he broke away is because they had the incident ahead of him. He was able to sneak through. Now, race 2, this could be the battle for the lead. These sorts of drafting passes down Mountain and Conrod Straight. And with a 25-minute race for the second one of the night, it can make things very interesting and really, really open up the pit window as well. Well, either really open it up or really shut it down.
Now, we can talk more about it when that race comes along, but I am thinking, with how few laps we actually get, reduces how many actual opportunities there are to take your pit stop. If there's only, 9 or 10 laps, then there's only 8 or so laps you're allowed to take that pit stop compared to some of the shorter circuits we've been to, like Summit Point, for example. We want to keep our eye on in race 2. For race 1, these guys are just going flat chat to the end here, and I think it is going to be the white flag at the end of this lap.
Flat chat. Are they flat across the top? Oh, Justin Howe's going to be hoping Mookie doesn't hold it flat. Oh, he's grabbed the fence as well. Was that a replay? We've gone to a replay mid-crash. Yeah, brilliant.
We're going to get this one from the start, maybe. So, yeah, this is what we're seeing, coming up the hill here. They were allegedly side by side, do the cutting there, and Mookie looking for a line. It gets defended, and you just can't take that narrow of an entry and not clobber the wall. But how much damage is he actually taken from it?
No ways he got away with that. Under the tree, up the fence. Squeaky clean.
Front left suspension, I'm still not sure about, but you're not going to want to do that again for sure.
Hello.
Oh no, Mookie.
Mookie's found the fence. No, that didn't look good. Where
Bottom
did
of
those
the
two
dipper.
cars go?
Bottom of the dipper for him. Parts everywhere strewn across the circuit, and the car's just gotten light in that namesake dipper, and he's lost the front wing and some other stuff, and just...
Where did these next two cars go? That's the big question, because he's right on the racing line. And, they just managed to squeak through. Probably safer to tow from that situation, isn't he, really?
Yeah, I mean, between where his car was positioned broadside and the front wing that had fallen off, there was only one way you could go through there. And so, to the white flag, our leaders go. So too does the pack we've been watching for second place. Christopher Williams was hanging it out sideways. And now Matt Marsh and Matty Jones battling a little bit, and that might drop them away from second place the way they're going here. They've seen that white flag, elbows out.
Yep, this will be it. Williams will jump away unless he makes a mistake. So Matty Jones has the momentum, but he's going to be caught on the outside for Griffin's Bend. Notoriously, that is not the place to be. Probably if you had to pick the outside for any corner on the racetrack, this would be last. But he gets it done in the braking zone, and so it doesn't become an issue. Matty Marsh, a little bit conservative there. That might be a good thing, though, because he'll have the tow when it comes to Codrod if he can keep himself behind Jones across the top.
And we've been talking about that point situation. Finishing second for Matt Marsh was basically going to seal it. Finishing fourth, still a reasonable haul of points. And then he's probably only looking for a top 20 in race 2. So he knows he can get very, very close to winning the championship in this race, but he can also effectively lose the championship and throw away a handful of points in this race. So that's got to be playing on the back of his mind when he goes wheel to wheel with some of these other guys, Christopher Williams and Matty Jones, that a top 5 finish is still a great finish when you're the points leader.
So easy to lock wheels as well on these open wheelers, and an innocent wheel touch can turn into a monstrous incident. Probably how that mammoth rollover occurred for Dwayne Priest, actually. Down at the chase on lap 1 as Mookie continues to drop spots with his lack of a front wing. And that's Jake Sperry going by him up at the cutting. Although Mookie, pretty strong up on the outside there.
I wouldn't
no
want
downforce needed in the front end.
I'm not sure I'd want to rub shoulders with Jake Sperry even at dinner, let alone too wide through the cutting and up the hill there. But they get through there cleanly, and Sperry is now up 9 positions from where he qualified.
Williams.
I think he normally does better in the feature ones.
Williams has been caught here, and Matty Jones is going for it. To the inside, down at the kink, side by side behind them as well. Jones takes it. Does Williams decide to be brave on the brakes? He doesn't. Or rather, he can't, as Lockie Dalton and Sean Doyle get sideways just behind them, and Doyle on the outside pitches him down and takes that spot away. But out front, Aiden Coote drove away and never looks back. Race 1 goes to Coote. Good victory.
They're going to be side by side for second, though, and I'm not sure who I've got my money on for this one. It's so close between Jones and Williams. And I'm going to need someone to get that stopwatch out to tell me who grabbed second place.
Matty Jones by 39 hundredths of a second. Or is it 39 thousandths? I've never known that. I've always
I
bluffed
think that's
it.
39 thousandths. So very, very fine margins between those two guys battling all the way to the end. Love to see it.
On board with Julian Mookie. Can't
Sperry's
miss that.
gotten the spot back.
Yeah.
Sperry, I think, has a bit more straight line speed, a bit straighter steering than Mookie, who closes right up in the braking zone as Sperry locks one, gets a bit sideways, but again, just has all of the power left, has the aerodynamics left. Mookie, I think, has still some bravery.
The two most distinguishable paint schemes on the racetrack duel into the final corner. Sperry throwing smoke signals, and he will claim that spot. And that spot that they were fighting so hard for was 18th place.
And after the line, they tangle. Sperry rolling out of the throttle once he crossed the line, and Mookie not relenting on that one.
Here's how they finished. 4.3 seconds the margin in the end for Aiden Coote over Matty Jones. Christopher Williams just missing out. Matt Marsh in 4th. Sean Doyle home in 5th ahead of Lockie Dalton. Paul Beatty and Robert Cook finished 7th and 8th. Matthew Mites, Justin Howe make up your top 10.
Over the page in 11th is Daniel Interisi, who finished ahead of Ryan Huckel, going from 22nd on the grid to 12th. Peter Wilkinson in 13th, and Vic Bentveltsen up 11 into 14th. Angus Cook finishes 15th, Braden Mackay in 16th, Leon Williams in 17th, Jake Sperry in 18th, as we saw, just ahead of Julian Mookie, and 20th was Braden Martin.
21st went the way of Philip Howe, who was the last car on the lead lap. Everyone else retiring from the race. Hancock, Summers, Simpson, Gorka, Roger Webber, Clark, Marquardt, Dillon, and Priest. That's a big list for a 15-minute race. And then he added Hodson and Verney as well. That was very much a race of attrition. Stay tuned here on Simspeed TV. We'll come back on the other side of this, ready for qualifying and race number 2. The 25-minute feature from Mount Panorama.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison.
Georgia, Bill Elliott, straining car number 9 to bring it home. 10 car lengths, Bill Elliott, 2-time winner of the Great American Race. Now the out of fuel, Bill Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt is going to win the Trans-South 500, his second win of 1987. It's going to be a battle for second. Bill Elliott is going
Racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top now.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?
Welcome back to Mount Panorama. We are getting ready for the second half of the evening, the final round of the Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series presented by Simfinity and Virtual Motorsport Mentor all season long. And Season 2 has been announced, the schedule's been unveiled, and registrations are opening in the next day or so. If you want to get involved with the next season, you can go to the Ozicar Facebook page and you'll be one of the first to know when those registrations open. And it's a pretty good calendar we've got ahead of us. Talk us through it, David.
Why would you do that to me? I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's great. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's great.
This I have to scroll way too far back on my messages to find. There we go. Yeah, so we start off at Pocono International. We're using the road course. That'll be the old version of Pocono to be able to use that. Watkins Glen is round 2. Then we head to the Charlotte Roval for the third race of the season. That's a night race as well. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Then we head to Laguna Seca and then Belle Isle. That's going to be probably more chaotic than this one. And then Barber Motorsports Park will host the season finale. And that all kicks off in a fortnight's time over in Pocono. Season 2, a road trip around the United States of America.
Yeah, I mean, Belle Isle's definitely going to be interesting for these ones. Which circuit am I most looking forward to for these kind of cars? I have to say, Watkins Glen and Barber, both very good. You know, Watkins Glen, high speed, quite draft heavy. We've seen that can produce some interesting races. I think a lot like Phillip Island, except with less penguins. So that'll be a good one to watch. But also, I've got a soft spot for Barber. It's quite a technical course. It's kind of folded in over itself, uses the undulation of the land well, and that'll be a good place to hopefully wrap up next season's championship.
And of course, if you want to see how it all unfolds from the viewer's standpoint and not as a driver, we will be continuing our coverage of it live every Thursday night right here on Simspeed TV. Same times as well, 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard. Going to be plenty of fun. So qualifying 2 now gets underway. They get 3 laps, but they only get 10 minutes. Now, 2-minute 30 lap times plus an out lap. You don't want to make a mistake and tow back to pits because you won't get all 3 laps in.
I'm not sure anyone's getting 3 laps in, but we'll definitely see about that as we ride on board with a couple of our drivers on their out lap. We certainly saw some of them just making sure they get some of that tyre warmth. But the good thing about the long lap here is by the time they've done an out lap, the tyres are very close to where they're going to want them. Unlike, the shorter circuits where you might have to do an out lap and then another flying lap, and then maybe by the second flying lap, they're about where you need them. Here, because they got to go 6.2 kilometers around from pit exit to the start of their first flying lap, they do get, a couple minutes to get the tyres ready, warm them up, test the grip, test the weather conditions, and we'll see. Everyone will definitely get 2 flying laps in. I am not confident that many or any of our drivers will get to complete a 3rd flying lap. But again, that's what we're here for, is to watch and see and find out precisely what happens. I can tell you Oliver Marquardt is going to want a better result than race 1, where we saw him, I think, blow the engine and lose the rear wing. I'd be hoping that this 25-minute format is a bit more forgiving.
Well, if he managed to blow his engine in a 15-minute race, then 25-minute prospects might be a little bit daunting, but figure out those downshifts into the chase, and you should be right. As we watch him now into the chase, and that is an engine that is positively buzzing.
It's on
Literally.
song.
It's a bad song, but it's on song.
It's not a bad song. It's just there's better ones, but we are going to see a lot of our drivers right now are crossing the timing line to start their first flying lap, including Oliver Marquardt here. And I think this first one does need to be a more cautious banker lap, knowing that you might not get 3, that you might only have 2. You don't want to throw this lap away.
Exactly right. Riding on board with him, looking through the cockpit. There's a tiny, itty, little bitty windscreen on the cars. You can just about make it out there. Doesn't do much. I think it's there to protect the steering wheel, if anything.
It might deflect the air just enough that it stops your helmet buffeting around so much. But it's certainly just a tiny little Perspex wind break there. It was tidy through Griffin's Bend for Marquardt, I thought. Again, you've got sort of 2 apexes you've got to smoothly string together here. And he's gotten right to the concrete wall on the inside without touching it. And that's the best line through there. You get the best grip, rotate the car through the middle of the corner so you can get the throttle open early. So then you're going to spend quite a bit of time at full throttle here across the top of the mountain before you get to Skyline potentially.
There's not many cars you can hold it flat across the top of the mountain in.
Hyundai XL.
That's one of them. I don't think it ever gets less terrifying, especially if you get your line a little bit wrong and you go for a little bit of a slide, or if someone decides to pull a move on you and then you dip down the hill and everything comes at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour no matter how slow you're going.
It's been good from Marquardt though. It doesn't look like he's needed many huge corrections. The car's been where he wants it to be, but he hasn't hit a wall yet. Difficult braking zone, difficult downshift there at Forest Elbow. Just how rapidly the circuit drops away right before turn in. He made that work, and then it's just a lot of time of watching the tachometer slowly tick up, get the car into 5th, and then almost hitting terminal velocity like a skydiver.
It's painful if you've got your delta up and you know whether you're on a really good lap or not, because if you are, you start to second guess your braking point for the chase, and you spend so long thinking about it, it's so easy to then go ahead and mess it up completely down here as you stomp on the brake pedal. Marquardt, though, no such issues. Through there nice and smooth, keeps the speed up, now carries the momentum out and down towards the final corner, Murray's Corner, the 90-degree left-hander, just next to the National Motor Racing Museum.
Yeah, which I unfortunately didn't get to go to earlier in the year, but I'm sure I'd love to. They got some interesting things there, some great Bathurst history. I'm not sure Marquardt's lap is going to go down in that history, but for a first flying lap, wow, it was smooth and it was safe. I mean, it was an okay lap, but he's not Greg Murphy.
Christopher Williams, he's got 3/4 of a second over the moment. A 2-minute 32.481, the benchmark set by him. Julian Mookie will go 11th with his lap. And here's Lockie Dalton.
Yeah, he's going to complete his first lap. We saw plenty of him inside the top 10 in race 1. So I'm sure he'll be hoping for the same or better in race 2. I think if he was just a little bit higher on the grid, he would have been mixing it with those guys for second place. In the end, him and Sean Doyle couldn't quite get there. So this might be an important qualifying session for him. He's going to finish his first flying lap. And nope, doesn't count. That might be his out lap. So he's definitely
no, he's
only
not
going to get one, right?
Yeah. On pit road is the 27. And
that'd be Aaron Dillon. I think has he had a problem somewhere? Indeed,
yeah,
he
that's
has.
a problem.
It started off as a bit of a problem, and then it became an even bigger problem.
That sounds like a way to describe my life. Dwayne
The replay
Priest
here
hasn't had fun at the chase today, has he?
Oh,
and
no,
it's
he's
gotten
bottomed out the
worse.
car right at the start of the curb, and that has
he kept
spun him
off
around
things.
right at the end. Well, that's a good job there. It's not going to be a valid lap time, and I'm not sure that's quite how you want to prepare the tyres normally, but it just goes to show, you know, that you're pushing it to the limit here, and you can beach the car on some of the curbs. He maybe caught a little bit too much grass in places as well. You've got pretty skinny tyres on these cars.
Russell Clark second again, where he qualified in race 1. No Tim Gorkrodger, though, yet. Expect him to start from the back, as he normally does in these feature races. So he'll be charging through. Matthew Mites, he's 12th. 2-minute 34.813, the benchmark for him so far. He's about 2.4 seconds away from Williams, who's up on the pole. This will be his final attempt for Matthew Mites. Won't get another lap in. It's a 2-minute 34.1. He improves to 9th and immediately gets propped back down to 10th.
So 17 drivers with a time right now. Nathan Verney, I think that was an improvement in his time, but only just marginally enough. But it didn't move him up a position. Julian Mookie with all of the wheels and wings on his wagon. It's time to cross the line, move himself up into 13th. More times coming in. Now 20 drivers with the time on the board.
Russell Clark goes to the top of the sheets by a quarter of a second, as well as Dalton gets it all wrong at the chase. That's his session done. Philip Howe hasn't set a lap time, needs this one to count. And it's a warm-up lap, so it won't count.
I've also just spied Aiden Coote having some dramas on his second flying lap. So, or was it his third? Well, he's not going to improve, that's for sure. Lockie Dalton also, I think, calling time on the session. So there's a few drivers here that just haven't maximized their time in their laps.
Dwayne Priest with that spin by keeping it out of the fence. He's given himself an opportunity to actually get a lap on the board. He'll automatically gain about 6 spots purely on drivers that haven't set lap times. And Huckel's on a 2-minute 47, 10 seconds off the pace, as long as he keeps it on the racetrack.
It's going to be his goal. He's a bit more cautious with that exit curb there. And so one final braking zone to go at Murray's. And you see, this is, again, not necessarily going to set it alight, but it is going to be a time.
Goes 20th. There you go. Plus 6 spots and where he would have started. Sean Doyle, 7th. Should just squeak to the line before the checkered flag is dropped on the session. And his lap will put him 7th. He improved, but not by enough. He improved by 0.3, but that still wasn't enough to improve his spot. So the starting grid, Russell Clark moves up 1 spot with the absence of Gorkrodger's time and goes to pole. Christopher Williams will start alongside him. Aiden Coote and Matty Jones on row 2. Then Angus Cook and Matt Marsh starting 5th and 6th. Big improvement for Cook then. Sean Doyle and Robert Cook starting 7th and 8th. Oliver Marquardt and Matthew Mites on row 5.
11th place is Dennis Hancock with Paul Beatty in 12th, Julian Mookie in 13th, Nathan Verney 14th, Peter Wilkinson 15th place, Leon Williams in 16th, Braden Martin 17th, Vic Bentveltson in 18th place there. Then it's Jake Sperry in 19th and 20th for Dwayne Priest, who we were looking at.
Tim Gorkrodger will line up 21st, or 22nd, sorry, Huko from 21st. Aaron Dillon, Braden Mackay, Philip Howe, Lockie Dalton, and Justin Howe rounding out the rest of the field.
So 25 minutes for this race, a pit stop required for 2 tyres.
And as Matt Marsh takes the grid, he seals the championship in his favour, just as long as he doesn't do something drastic and get a disqualification or a minus points penalty. But for all intents and purposes, Matt Marsh has wrapped this championship up after recording 3 wins over the course of the season. Wonder if he can improve 5 spots in this race and make it 4 wins from 12 races and 6 rounds, making up those races. As you mentioned, got to make a pit stop at some point. Estimated race distance in the range of, what do we expect, 7 to 8 laps, 10 laps. So not many opportunities to dive to pit road. But Russell Clark right now, probably just thinking about getting this car off the line well. And Christopher Williams, he needs a better launch than he had in race 1 because he's got a good opportunity sitting on the front row. As the lights come on and the final race of the championship is underway, Russell Clark crept forward a bit on the starting grid there, but I don't think he moved forward enough to get a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that he rolled away a little bit too early, and I don't know if that is going to be a penalty. It's not an obvious slam dunk on that one, but obviously not a perfect launch, and they are packed in right behind him. Aiden Coote is going to have the inside on Christopher Williams at the top of the hill. Coote's also picking up the slipstream as well for a minute there, which is going to help him maybe grab second place away.
He does sort in line then into second and looks to the inside of Russell Clark, who left the door open. Coote takes it away. Williams going to fill the hole as well. But Clark does have the inside through the cutting, and you don't really want to be caught on the outside through here. So Williams backs out of it and tucks in just in front of Matty Jones.
So cleanly so far in the top 10 or so. And they know that this race is a little bit longer with a little bit more strategy. So maybe just a little bit calmer start than in the 15-minute race. There's certainly been some 2 wide and some 3 wide deeper in the pack. Some of those drivers who didn't qualify or didn't get a representative qualifying time try and force their way through a little bit.
A little bit messy coming under the tree there for a few of the drivers, but they make it through unscathed, as now we ride on board down the hill with Russell Clark. He did come over the radio, heading down Mountain Straight, just before Coote passed him. I'm not sure whether that was to say that he's got a penalty or not. Peter Wilkinson has had an issue across McPhillamy.
Yeah, he certainly has, and I think he thinks he got a bit of help. So we're going to look at that one.
Well, he definitely didn't.
No, not in that case. Maybe it was someone else I was hearing, but that's again a case. The curbs are very, very difficult.
Here comes Clark. To the inside of Aiden Coote, and that is just too easy down the straight, like taking candy from a baby. And Coote not close enough to come back at him on the brakes through the chase, but he almost gives him a push through the apex, right under that rear wing. And Clark's going to go defensive. Doesn't come to pit road. He should be safe. Williams does come to pit road. He's going to get out of the... Oh, what on earth? And that's going to pile up a lot of cars.
Pit entry is blocked.
Pit entry is blocked at Mount Panorama. Someone trying to skate through. Matthew Mites just got around him. Tim Gorkroger copped a whack as he tried to get by on the grass. I have never seen that before. He got over the curb, didn't he? And then the car just stood up on its nose.
Yeah, that is bizarre and unfortunate and probably not expected for Christopher Williams either. And then it has just stopped him in a very, very inconvenient spot for everyone else around. So those guys who stayed out, I think, are actually going to be pretty happy with themselves.
Yeah. You'd be pretty annoyed if you are one of those people that got caught up by that. And it does mean that everyone that stayed out is going to find themselves at an advantage apart from those three.
Aaron Dillon's just got a bit off the line there, slid wide, hit the wall, and unfortunately he's, I think, damaged the suspension. We've seen some drivers sometimes get away with it, but not in that particular case. And Jake Sperry is missing a rear wing. There's a few things he's missing, but it is the rear wing.
Lockie Dalton ran into the back of him as they both tried to sidestep that crash. He got airborne, actually, and hit the fence. Came off worse than Sperry, as this doesn't look like it's headed for a good ending. This is back on lap 1. Yeah, Priest just slapped the fence. Got away with it, it seems, until he gets down to Forest Elbow.
Yeah, you would say he has not gotten away on that particular case there. Once he slammed the brakes on, the car has been very, very displeased with the tyre temperature and the suspension being rearranged. But these are those two drivers that did stay out at the front of the field. They're still battling it back and forth. Coote and Clark side by side. Clark gets his nose in front. And when we see either of them jump for pit lane this lap, now that pit entry is clear.
Who's going to come back at him? Oh, wow, big slide on as the rear stepped out. He held it flat through the king. And Clark does well to give him the room on the exit of the corner because there was almost a little bit of contact. Side-by-side opportunity for Clark to come by himself. He doesn't.
goes Sean Doyle from third on to pit lane, gives a little bit more respect to the curbs than we saw from some on lap 1, and successfully navigates his way to pit in. So a couple more drivers taking that option as well.
Another replay up on screen. Braden Martin down into the chase. Has he pinched up the front? No, he's been hit from behind and just got tagged in the left rear by Justin Howe.
It's tough to read that one because it then looks like Justin Howe still mostly made the corner. So was Martin on the brakes far too early, or was Howe just distracted, staring at the back of the car in front? No, sorry. I'll wind that back. Justin Howe, I think, has missed his braking zone.
Hey, the leaders are side by side up through the cutting, and Russell Clark just tagged the fence as well. So lucky to get away with that. Under the tree, they still hold it wheel to wheel. They're both on the radio, and Coot takes it away.
Yeah, indeed he does. I've been looking. Sean Doyle's now in 8th place, the first of the cars who have pitted. He's 32 seconds behind these guys. I think we're seeing about 34 seconds to make that required pit stop. So these guys, they might feel like heroes battling over first and second right now. They've both still got to make a pit stop. And while they do stuff like that, there's other drivers like Doyle, Jones, and Cook who've made their required pit stop who are just sneaking up towards them.
Yeah, once they've done a full lap out there after their stop, it'll be interesting to have a look at the lap time in comparison if these two continue to stay out. Because if they do keep going side by side through odd places like they were on this lap, they'll definitely cost each other close to a second. As Russell Clark going to use that beautiful slingshot maneuver to slip on by and take away the lead again. Up to now at least half a dozen lead changes in this race.
Yeah, I've got to sharpen my pencil again before I make another tally mark in that particular box. But a move like that is all fair and square and isn't going to cost them too much time. It's the other stuff where they're side-by-side corners in a row. So past pit entry they go, and they're both going to avoid it. And it is looking like we're headed for a 10-lap race. They can't pit on the final lap. It's got to be before then. So they really only have a couple opportunities left in this race.
Here's Matty Jones and Sean Doyle. These guys are pitted, remember, and they're battling. Jones leading Doyle at the moment.
They're now 31.5 seconds off the lead. So if they can keep clawing away at that, I think they're in a good spot. Otherwise, maybe they are not in contention for the win. Saw Braden Martin jump into the pits from just in front of them. Surprised he wasn't even carrying more damage from the replay we saw earlier. But he can get maybe just a little bit of it fixed at that stop. Setting the fastest lap of the race, though, Tim Gockrodge is up to 10th.
Yeah, well, Gockrodge, he just got hit as Williams tried to get out of the way, and Gockrodge was skating through the grass, avoiding the actual pit entry, which wasn't exactly a feasible option at the time. And so he didn't lose any time. Would have had to take a spare car, but that won't really affect him. He's 36 seconds back, so still a little way off these guys, but he's definitely coming, and we often see him emerge at the front late on in these races after starting from the back, as the front end of Angus Cook's car just came off.
There you go. Not quite what he wanted. He was worried about a little bit of damage on that car. It's definitely crumpled at a minimum, so something is less than right for Angus Cook, and I think he's happy to just be following along with Doyle and Jones in front. So there's a handful of drivers still in to win this one. Clark and Coot up front. Then this pack here, who are maybe closing them a little bit and have made their pit stop. And then just, I would not count out this man here, Tim Gockrodge, to close in a couple seconds.
It's another switcheroo. This time it's Coot that leads them through the chase. This time, Do they come to the pits? No for Coot, yes for Clark. Now, as long as he doesn't hit that piece of grass that Williams hit, he doesn't. He should be good here. This is looking messy, though.
Bit of traffic for our pursuing 3, but they all get by cleanly down Conrod Straight. And then Matty Jones decides to take a peek, take a look around the outside of Sean Doyle, and I think he's done it. I think he's gotten clear. He's gotten in a bit hot to the corner, but move done, move stuck. So where Clark comes out of the pit lane relative to these guys gives us a very big indication of if Aiden Coote is on the right strategy or if he's going to be in trouble.
Clark is still stationary in the pits. Now he gets chopped off the jacks and he hits the throttle. And he will exit ahead of these guys pretty comfortably in the end, it seems. There they are, the back of the shot.
Bodes very, very well for
Old tyres,
Aiden Coote
though.
then, if he can keep that pace up. We've seen this in the previous rounds from Aiden Coote. He does fancy going long on the first stint compared to the other prevailing strategy of pitting lap 1 or lap 2. So if he can keep this up, and he comes out with the amount of advantage that Russell Clark has, I'm sure on cold tyres on the final lap, he can, hold on to a couple seconds.
Well, let's see how much longer he stays out. We're on lap 5 of estimated 10. 30 minutes to go in a 25-minute race. Jake Sperry still limping around without his rear wing. And only 3 drivers yet to pit. Sperry's one of them, Coote the other, and Verney the second.
Great livery there from Braden Mackay as he battles with Braden Martin. Different spellings of Braden. They are, battling it out. The Carpet City for Mackay. Probably the first time anyone said Mackay and City in the same sentence.
Yeah, you're probably right on that one.
Good scrap between these two guys. They both pitted recently, and we'll see where they end up once all the pit stops cycle through. Could be a top 10 for them, but still, pursuing pack that they need to worry about. It's looking good for Clark, though. I think if he can just stay away from Doyle, Cook, and Gaukrodger behind. In fact, Gaukrodger's made huge gains on the last lap and this lap.
Yeah, he's flying in that car now. Aiden Coote stayed out for another lap. By the way, up at the front, as Gaukrodger makes a move on the curb of the King. And the car looked like it was going to miss the braking zone, but that car stopped on a dime.
Nathan Verney on the pit lane. Imagine he'll probably come out 9th or 10th-ish or so. This is still a great battle for the lead, effectively, where Gaukrodger is now only... what is that margin? About 2 seconds behind Russell Clark, who was battling for the lead before his pit stop. So, yeah, if he can get cleanly past these next 2 cars, build out a second or so, he'll be right with where we expect Coote to drop in. This is a textbook move right here from Gaukrodger.
2 for the price of 1. Move done. Gaukrodger able to slip by Doyle and Jones. And into Griffin's Bend, he takes the line that he wants to take. And up the road now is Russell Clark and the net race lead. And there is just 1.6 seconds between them. Russell Clark's going to get a hurry on. And I'll tell you what, Aiden Coote might have to pit before he wants, because if he doesn't, and Gaukrodger, effectively leapfrogs him, it's going to be much harder to pass him and catch him and pass him than it is to just pit now, come out ahead, and then defend.
Leon Williams leaving pit road for the first time today, it looks like. Braden Mackay on the lane for the second time today, though. So, not quite sure, was he levelled a penalty?
Couldn't tell you.
Was a bit of maybe a rhetorical one on that one, but he's had to stop again. So, yeah, maybe that was damage. Maybe the first stop was an issue. Not sure. but not a optimal race. Anytime you're going down pit road one more time, then you are obligated to do so.
All right, down Conrod straight. Looking back from Jake Sperry, who is finding himself as the pick in this leading battle once again, as Russell Clark will go by down at the chase once he picks a way to go. Oh, Sperry's held him up. No. This is costing Clark a lot of time. Had to lift off in the braking zone. Was compromised through the chase. Now into the final quarter. Is he close enough to get by him? He's got to have a look. He doesn't. Has to lift off again. Sperry makes a mistake and throws it off the racetrack. So that was all just pointless from Sperry. And now Gorkroj has been handed a massive free kick.
And Doyle went into the wall trying to avoid Jake Sperry's rejoin. Doyle's queued up his radio because he's not happy about it.
Yeah, not surprised. Matt Marsh comes out of pit lane. A few laps down. Right in the middle of it all. Maybe we can get a replay on that rejoin as well if we can. There's Sperry's arguing his case in game as this is the effective race lead swinging in favour of Gorkroj. But Aiden Coote's pitted, so that overcut has worked for him. He's already pitted. He's come out just ahead of them.
Yeah, about 4 laps to go when he crossed the line. He's rejoined with 2.5 second lead, but he's on the cold tyres right now, and that's going to hurt him. Look a little bit further back than Doyle here, who has Jake Sperry rejoin right in front of him. Doyle throws it off of the road to not run up the back of Mr. Sperry.
Came back straight onto the racing line by the looks of it. And watch here, as Sean Doyle had his own moment going on, and just throws it onto the racing line. Don't think there's any escaping a penalty for that.
Doyle could have been a little more heads up in the circumstance, but it's just not quite what he expected. He's being hurried along here by Cook, who's going to go around the outside at Skyline. That's a danger.
No, it didn't work. Oh, they're both gone.
It's not going to work.
Doyle's lost it. Sperry's tried to squeeze through as well. That's a bit messy.
So this is a difficult move to make stick at the best of times across the top of the hill. Cook tries to swoop around the outside. He's a bit wide of the normal apex, thrown it in a little bit hot. And that's one of those things where, like, 3 corners before you hit the wall, you realize you're in too hot and what's probably going to happen. So that is it's a shame there.
Looks like Sperry whacked the fence trying to get through that. He's under race control as well about that one. So Doyle and Sperry can't get away from each other, as Aiden Coote is going to be wishing he could really get away from Gorkroj, because on board with him, this is the margin, and there's not many laps left to go. 3 laps left here in Bathurst. The gap's evaporated.
That indeed it has. It was a decent strategy from Coote, but you just wonder, does he actually have the car pace right now to battle Gorkroj and the rest? My goodness, look at the angle for Cook crabbing down the road. And also we see Jake Sperry on the lane, maybe as a result of the damage. The lead, though, side by side. Gorkroj is going to have to go around the outside, but he's got about half a car length in front.
Cleared him.
Coote going to keep his nose in. Not yet he hasn't.
He was so close to clearing him into the braking zone there. Coote just had enough of a sniff to be able to keep the car there. Now he's got to stay committed and keep it around the outside. He can't let Gorkroj get ahead, but he does. Rolls off, and now he's got to really hope he can stay with him across the top of the mountain and then use the slipstream down Conrod straight. Russell Clark has closed right up to the back of these two as well now, so it's a 3-way scrap.
Yeah, exactly. Jones, Doyle, Cook, and those like have dropped a couple seconds off the back of this, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. 3-car battle to the end for the win here.
Flat out across the top, so Coote closes in again. Gonna have to be careful through Skyline, through the S's, not to overcommit and throw it in the fence. Just like Angus Cook did. A lap ago. Gorkroj just missed his line a little bit. That's checked him up just a fraction.
Yeah, this is looking good from Coot, though. He's absolutely kept the pressure across the top of the hill. A good exit out of the elbow, and you know he'll be in position to maybe try and form an attack. He's gone a bit wide, and now he's in that difficult position where he wants to just be following in the wheel tracks of Gaukrodger, but instead, he's looking at what Russell Clark is doing behind him.
Coots let him go. Come over the radio and said, go get him. So Russell Clark going to have the opportunity to run down Tim Gaukrodger now. And I reckon he'll get to his rear wing down Mountain Straight. It's close enough to have that slipstream as long as he's nice and smooth through the chase.
A little out of shape from Gaukrodger, but he's committed with a lot of speed, so it's often hard to see if it's sloppy, if it's actually slow. So we seeing he's got about 0.6 of a second here, and he wants Russell Clark to not be able to follow with him, but Clark's doing a decent job of it, and you can see Coot using all the track, and then a little bit more as well. Trying to break the toe is your leader, Tim Gaukrodger.
2 laps to go. Out of Hell Corner. Does he have enough of a gap to stay free down into Griffin's Bend? Well, let's find out. It's about 5 or 6 car lengths now. He's sneaking his way down the straight, trying to shape that draft that Russell Clark is picking up, and the extra speed that's coming with it already, about 5 kilometers an hour quicker down the straight. Make that about 6 Ks difference as they hit the brakes into turn 2. The gap came down to about 2 or 3 car lengths.
Yeah, it did. So not close enough to strike, but definitely close enough to keep your leader worrying about the cars behind following him. And how sloppy is this going to be across the top of the hill this time from Gaukrodger? Because we saw he's very quick, but the pressure was maybe getting to him just a little bit, particularly at Skyline and the S's.
Come from the back to the front many times already, and looking to do it again in the final race of the first ever Skip Barber Aussie car season. Clark shows the front end into McPhillamy, doesn't go for the move, just trying to fill the mirrors of Gaukrodger, make him second guess himself at his entries, his braking points. Down the hill we roll again, much smoother from Gaukrodger this time.
Yeah, the move was never going to work from Clark there, but he was just looking around, keeping the pressure on, and maybe even providing just a little bit of a distraction. So both of them a good line through the elbow, right up towards the wall on the exit. Just too good from Gaukrodger.
Half a second was the gap as they came out of Forest Elbow. Gaukrodger just grabbed the grass there as he moves it across the racetrack and then back again. Clark's gaining, but not by much.
Again, 5 kilometers an hour or so, a brisk walking pace. You're just walking the gap down the straights, but just the end of the straight comes too quickly. And Clark can stick with him, but hasn't been able to mount an attack or a move as they come to the white flag now.
Or is it?
Probably.
All right, white flag is official. One more time around Mount Panorama. Aiden Coot was all out of shape coming out of the final corner there. Got away with it, though. As we roll through turn 1. And Gaukrodger throws it off the racetrack. That's going to kill his momentum.
Critical exit, and he's messed it up just a little bit. He's kept his foot in it, but it's definitely shown Clark that he's fallible.
Here he comes. Gaukrodger's just edged the car over a car's width to cover for turn 2. Clark doesn't feel the need to look down here yet. Gaukrodger really sends it in on the braking zone there, launches it into the corner. Gains about half a tenth.
Talking about the slipstream on the 2 big straights of the circuit, but also just giving Clark a little bit more speed uphill in these low-powered cars. He's only fighting against gravity, not against as much drag, and that's helped him keep it, just underneath the car length. This is where it looks like Clark's actually been so good.
Yeah, look at him right now. He's tucked up under that rear wing. He's got nowhere to go. He doesn't show the nose this time at McPhillamy. He wants to be as fast as he can. Doesn't want to compromise his line. Shows it at Skyline. But he's smart enough not to go for that move. Trying to force Gork Roger into the error he made a couple of laps ago where he was slowed down the mountain. But this time, he's just so fast, he's pulled away.
This is where the exit's not been good for Clark. This is where Gork Roger has just gotten the power down enough, made enough of a gap, that Clark is no longer right at his rear wing like he was across the top of the hill. I do feel like it's maybe still just a little closer than a lap ago, but that is the one critical corner at the elbow that Clark hasn't absolutely nailed.
It's about the same gap coming into the dip at the bottom of Conrod Straight as it was last lap. So he won't get close enough. But Gork Roger can't afford a mistake now. If he does, Clark's right there. He lurches closer in the braking zone. Through the chase. Using the curb, using all of the racetrack, using all of his nerves of steel. Clark closes and looks to the inside. Final corner, final lap, side by side. Out they come, a drag race to the line. It's wheel to wheel. It's a photo finish. Who got it?
It's Tim Gork Roger by 0.012 of a second. Shows up here, different rounding, but yeah, just about 100th of a second exactly. Gork Roger had his nose in front by the teeniest amount. There's still a battle here between, I think it might be Cook and Verney, and somehow Angus Cook in the middle there. That guy has been crabbing a 10-degree angle, laps after laps here, and he's still going to hold on for 8th place, it looks like. Maybe Huckel and Jake Sperry also battling to the line. Not sure about that one. Indeed, they are. Jake Sperry down the inside, but has he got the finesse on the brakes to outdo Ryan Huckel? Maybe just on this occasion. He's got a rear wing back, and then it's been bent again, I think, for Mr. Sperry there. He's going to defend the inside for the final corner. And he is wiggly on the brake pedal, but he positions the car where he needed to, and I think in the end that is the important factor. Lets him bring home 12th place.
So, they've all kept their foot on it.
Right, I mean, I was saying it should have been checkered flag as well, but... I mean, it's Bathurst. Everyone's going for the jump. That's what always happens in these series, in these events. You know, we got to go around one more time, and maybe everyone will line it up for the famous Panorama jump. But I've seen that the skippies can't actually clear it. They're not fast enough or get enough air over the bump.
They get bogged down in the gravel trap, yeah. Let's run through our results then before we get to the jump and see how they finished in race 2. Gork Roger's margin of victory, well, you can see it there. It was non-existent almost over Russell Clark. Aiden Coote in 3rd. Matty Jones, Dennis Hancock, 4th and 5th. Sean Doyle and Robert Cook finished 6th and 7th, ahead of Angus Cook, Nathan Verney, and Matthew Mitesy, top 10.
Yeah, 11th place. Positions gained for Braden Martin. Jake Sperry in 12th, just ahead of Ryan Huckel. We saw that one. Julian Mookie in 14th. Peter Wilkinson in 15th. Leon Williams gets 16th place. Last car on the lead lap, our friend Braden Mackay. And then Paul Beatty in 18th off the lead lap. Justin Howe, likewise with some issues. Vic Bent-Veltson, 6 laps down. Probably call that one a retirement. Wait, no, it's not, because he's out on the track because he's trying to get the jump.
Yeah, they've all lined up together to grab this jump, which means that you may as well stay with them because they're not going to get any driver interviews for a while.
Yeah, last couple of positions on the screen as well. Philip Howe, Matt Marsh, Aaron Dillon, Lockie Dalton, Oliver Marquardt, Christopher Williams, and Dwayne Priest, all several laps down as they are flat chat down Conrod Straight, heading towards the jump at the chase. Aiden Coote looks like he's just leading them ahead of Matty Jones. They're all going to get a good head of speed here, but are they fast enough across that gravel to actually be able to clear the tyre bundle? Coote's going to be first on the scene, and he gets clear. Almost all of them get clear, but the landing not quite as good. But most drivers do appear to have made it across the jump. Precision driving spectacle if ever we saw one. Well, it's tradition, isn't it?
Indeed. You got to do it. That is how to finish a race at Mount Panorama. And the season as a whole, it goes to Matty Marsh, who did a very good job to been the most consistent over the course of the season. Picked up 3 race wins out of the 12 available, so he won a quarter of the races. And in the end, that's all he needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about how the point structure really, really favors reliable finishes inside the top 5 and the top 10, making sure you see the checkered flag at every race. It's not enough to, grab some hero wins here and there. You've got to be in and amongst the top 5 and the top 10 every single race, every single time.
Let's have a chat to our race winner, Tim Gorkroger. Congratulations. You grabbed that race win by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, Russell hung in draft over the top and managed to hang on pretty tight at the bottom as well. So it was good. It was fun. He chucked it up the inside, and tough to get it up there and stick it. So, but it was good. It was great fun. Nice to be back after a little break, and a good way to finish the season at Bathurst.
Yeah, and you kept your strategy alive of starting at the back, going to the front. It almost came undone when you came to pit road, though. That looks a little bit hairy.
Yeah, I heard a bit of chat on in game, and I thought, what's going on? And when I got there, because I race in VR, everyone sort of appeared at once because I've only got 10 cars max set, and I thought, oh crap, what do I do? Anyway, as I went to the right to get around him, one of the dudes just puts his foot on the gas, and I'm thinking, oh crap, where do I go? But I think it just wound up being a tiny bit of netcode contact. And no damage to the car, because if you get a bit of wing damage here, the Skippy's as slow as, and it's race over. But it worked out pretty well, and a few fast laps after the pit stop, and we caught the leaders, and challenging to get away, but Russell and I did, and just had a good little battle on the last lap.
Indeed, you did. It's another good racery for you. Season 2 coming up in a fortnight's time. We're going to see you back.
I've got family commitments on Thursday nights with kids and stuff, so it'll that's why I missed a couple of races, but it'll perhaps a few rounds, but not all of them, I think. We'll just see how we get on.
All right, well, we look forward to hopefully seeing you a couple of times. And who you want to thank for helping you get that victory today?
Look, no one in particular. I just want to say thanks very much to Ira for putting on the series. Of course, you guys for broadcasting the event. I enjoy watching it back, seeing what happens through the race and whatnot. It's really terrific. So thank you, and hope to catch you next season.
Cheers, Tim, and best of luck with that family next Thursday night.
Thanks, guys. Good on you.
Tim, your race winner. Now, David, standing by with your championship winner, Matt Marsh.
Yeah, I am. Congratulations to you. Not quite the race you might have wanted here, but I mean, just consistency has paid off across all of the different rounds, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely not how I wanted to finish, but oh well, that's how it goes. I had a good view from the pit line anyway, but yeah, consistency was the key. Just managed to score good points every race, other than that one. So I'm actually surprised I managed to last that long without a DNF. So
2 races every week in a slightly different style. Which one do you think favoured you better across the season? Is it the sprint race, or was the strategy helping you out?
I think it was the strat for sure. I don't think I won a sprint the whole time. I think I won 3 or 4, maybe 3 of the pit stop races. So yeah, they were definitely worked better for me, I think.
There you go. Talk us about the Skip Barber though, because obviously it's a car that you've done a bunch of races in now. What is it about it that makes it fun to drive or makes it fun to race?
Oh, it's just such close racing. I think because they're such a low power car with so much draft, it really brings the field close together, and you can really stay in a pack. And because they are so thin as well, you end up seeing 3 or 4 wide all the time. It's really exciting / scary racing.
I think we've definitely seen plenty of racing on the broadcast this season that has matched both of those descriptions, exciting and occasionally scary. I mean, how does this rank in your achievements? Is this going to go to the top of the trophy cabinet as inaugural champion, or how do you feel about it?
I think it has to go to the top for sure, guys. I reckon I'll have my phone on tomorrow, waiting for sponsorship deals to come through. I think that's how it usually goes.
Yeah, you'll have to bat them all the way. We're going to see you again in season 2.
Yeah, I think so, mate. Yeah, to be honest, it's been some of the funnest racing I've had on iRacing for sure. This league, it's been really, really good.
guys have absolutely turned on a show that we could not look away from. I think every single lap of every single race this season, it's been, as you described, 3 wide, 4 wide, very, very close stuff. I want to thank you and congratulate you once again. Anyone you need to thank?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, just want to thank the family. They've been watching along every week from home, so that's been quite good. And thank you to my fiance, and I just want to say happy birthday to her. It's her birthday, and she's an absolute legend, letting me race on her birthday. It would have been nice to finish.
You must be on a good thing then if you're still allowed to come out racing here and then bring your championship home. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
So yeah, that was our championship winner, and I think a well-deserved one in Matt Marsh.
Yeah, indeed, and that'll pretty much do us for time. We run out of time because we've got more broadcasts coming up tonight. Make sure you stay tuned to Simspeed TV to catch those, but what a championship that was, and I can't wait for Season 2. Remember to head to Ozicar on Facebook to grab all of those details as they come, and you can be a part of it, or you can watch it again at the same time next week, or in a fortnight's time, I should say. We'll be back, but for now, from myself, Ryan Jones, Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, and David Haynes alongside me, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness! Half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?